Yeah, there's a lot of sticks there, but
Monday,
also man-made
October
plastic of some sort.
21st, 2024. Taking a nice little walk down Land Street.
Branches.
The river sounds so pretty. And leaves are colorful. We're just going to check out some things. I haven't heard any deer or even squirrel yet, but that could easily change quickly enough.
I can see him moving around.
It really smells beautiful in fall, like out here. Let me get closer to the river.
As we get closer to the car,
I want to get a picture of that
now here's
waterfall.
another area
Up at, closer to the end of Land Street when you first enter.
A dirt.
But I didn't see it. I don't know if maybe there's not enough
And again,
water today.
it looks like sticks have been drawn through it. I don't know if that's a normal thing in the woods. I know some people do hunt back here. Right now it's small game season, so I have something orange on. Interesting.
If I see anything interesting.
So pretty.
Let's look over here.
I would like to see some deer. They're so beautiful.
Okay.
And as they go through the woods,
That stick
you hear
moves.
them moving, but it's surprisingly
It's right
not as loud as you would think.
Branch.
That's how I have experienced it at my grandma's property that I was speaking of earlier. One time when I was there with someone, a very loud crash came down not far from the path that I told you about where I had left the statues, and I didn't put them there for any reason except my own. Those huge rocks, as I said, was part of my kind of prayer path, wanting solitude and meditation. I don't even hear crows today. I love to hear the crows. I know they're noisy, but I like them. Now,
Well,
I probably
I'll
passed
repeat
things
my
up that I
story
shouldn't have.
as I walk.
It's very hard to say.
Probably
Now,
in
some things I don't want to get deep in there to see if they're connected to the
2017,
ground
I
or
could be
not.
wrong
I've
of the
had
exact
enough
year, but
Disease.
we had our little dog Skimp,
I even have
and Blah was just
arthritis,
about a mile, not even from where I'm
rheumatoid
walking
arthritis
right now.
caused by.
And behind our house, I heard very strange.
Although I
like,
am,
I was
being
alerted
treated
to
for
it
and it's
by
working
Elena
really, really well. So that's a good thing.
or Jimmy. And they came in the house and said, "Do you hear the very weird, loud owl sounds outside?"
I don't know.
So I opened the back door, and our little dog Skimp was whimpering,
Don't know.
and
Let's see.
his tail was between his legs, which is odd.
I want to
And I heard the
point
strangest
out in
loud, like,
particular.
whoop, whoop, whoop. Or no, that's more dog-like. It was more like,
There's farm machinery again.
whoop, whoop, but very, very loud. And there were several. Sounded like some kind of animal.
I think
Animals
a few years after
were communicating with each other in the
sounds
woods.
in my
I had no idea.
woods at the back of my house.
After listening to owl sounds and other animal sounds, I still have not figured out what it could have been.
Nothing since.
I thought it
I
might
do
be
have neighbors.
coyotes.
No one ever
the only thing that could
seems
come
to
to
be
my
around
head,
when I hear
because I knew that there were
these
coyotes
things.
in those woods.
least I haven't heard of any.
It
There's
did
some
not.
neighbors I'd like to ask.
Did not sound
But it's
on
kind
any
of a
of the
difficult subject.
example recordings I listened to. It did not
I
sound
don't always know what you're getting
like
at.
coyotes. And
More
then
farm
shortly
equipment.
after, there was a scream from across the highway down by the river.
Beautiful
Like a, I don't know,
colors in the
if
trees.
it was a woman.
Up here a bit
Childlike
further is
scream.
even more beautiful. I just heard
The
something
next
like
day,
that.
I went to my garden and I heard
Probably not.
pebbles
It wasn't real loud.
hitting
Whatever
my
it was.
neighbor's shed, metal roof shed. Not very long after that,
Share this fall day with
my
you.
daughter Elena heard a tree crash
Soon the leaves will
across
be.
the highway down by the
down.
river as she was
But I
walking
walked back
home.
here after a fresh snow, and
This
it's
street
beautiful.
is not far from where I live, as you know.
Let's check out this
And
side.
there have
Some
been
tails.
strange structures
And the marshy over
and
here.
Mar is much better at noticing them than I am. Much more so. In fact, I have not been paying near the attention
Back hill, it
that
seems
she
like
would in
there might be a little
walking
ledge
down this
up there.
road.
Kind of clear.
But if I'm noticing any
My house also.
things that
The wood
don't
goes up
seem
so far, and
like
then
they
there's a
could
little ledge.
happen in nature,
Oh, I love these
I
big
like to
rocks.
check them out.
Let's just enjoy the water for a minute.
We did hear, I
Gorgeous.
think we heard a loud noise
Further
down
up
here that
the river.
looks like a crash, but not
When the kids were smaller,
not
we
enough.
would just almost
A
every
deer could not make
late
it that
morning
loud. That's what I'm
before I
trying
had
to
go
say.
work. In the summer, we would swim in the river with some of their friends. It wasn't deep or dangerous, obviously. It's just so
I'm just
nice.
gonna keep filming. What were some of the other things I noticed? Okay, this is strange, but about 3 miles from here, where our grandma Bubbo lived,
There's just something about
her woods.
walking through leaves in the
I
fall.
used to.
Brings up that
I
smell
had one of my
of
good
the
friends pass away
earth and the leaves. and
7 years ago. And as a little
Brings back
retreat
memories.
area, it's so comfortable for me to be there. I set up a little tent at our grandmother's old property. And
Let's focus more on the river right now.
I
don't see
there was a trail that was
Spotting
always there,
anything.
a path that some people in our family would take up into the woods. And by the big oak trees, I put statues. Blessed Mother,
gorgeous
St.
colors.
Joseph. I really don't know what made me do that. It was just like my own little prayer path, I suppose. I don't know how long after that
Now there's a
I looked,
tangle of
but it seems to me it was somewhere near the end of, I set the tent up early summer, somewhere near the end of summer. I realized that those statues were all
most of
gone.
those do seem to be.
No one told me that they took them. A neighbor may use that path on occasion, but I don't envision them taking my statues down. And I know it was not my brother who used to walk up there. He wouldn't do that. Besides, when I cleaned out his house after he unfortunately passed away,
But if anything, it
there
sort
were no
of
signs of
sounded
anything like
you,
that.
or even a squirrel.
Now, either before or after
See those rocks,
I put the statues in the woods,
the rectangular little wall.
I went
there.
to my
I think
tent
that was
one day, and there was a
from
little
bridge that used to go
stump
across the
right in
river.
front of my tent. And right on that stump was the most beautiful, perfect little bird's nest.
At the
Still have.
reservoir that I talked about, where I had the cabin,
I know it
I
wasn't
heard the
blown
metal
there by
banging
a
in the middle of the
storm.
night.
First of all, I don't remember a
see
storm.
that
Second of
little
all, it
cashew
was perfect
shell,
sitting
I think.
wasn't there before.
You know, just right dab in the middle of that
There
stump.
have been reports of the park rangers
I thought, well, with my brother,
seeing.
my
what they
brother knew
call
I
the
had the
family
tent there, but we
of
didn't really
Bigfoot
speak a lot at
drinking
that
from the
time.
reservoir.
I thought, well, did my brother find it? And he's just being kind and putting it there.
In the 90s or 2000.
That's the only thing I could think of. I mean, it doesn't really sound like something he would do, but I didn't know what the heck else it could have been.
No. Maybe.
Now I'm starting to wonder what took those statues. What put that nest there? It's a lot of questions to ask. The man that I'm talking about, my friend that passed away, he lived maybe 30 at least miles north of here on a farm.
River.
And we would travel in his gator all around the farm, and
Interesting in themselves.
which was
So
a lot of
calming.
property, mostly wooded. One day we were throwing rocks into the back of his gator in the bed. We were taking them out of the river, and we were going to put them in a part of the trail that was getting very, very worn down and muddy.
Is actually in the ground.
So I was just throwing rocks into the back. And then at one point, after I had thrown a rock in, we heard wasn't even a crash, it was a thump. The only way I can describe it is if you would imagine someone taking an entire tree,
I haven't really been looking.
maybe just like a tree like
around
this,
too much.
and
Any kind of track.
uprooting it
It's always
and
interesting.
slamming it down into the ground.
Deer or whatever.
Or if someone had a massive,
I'm not good at it, so I don't know
like,
right now.
room-sized cement block, and they threw it onto the ground.
Other side here.
That's what it sounded like. We thought, well, maybe there's someone doing some kind of work on one of the paths, like a water company or gas company. You know how that is when you're in the woods. So we went over to that area that same afternoon, and there was nothing.
Again, that might
There was
be
absolutely
something from the old bridge.
no
I
signs
heard it was really like
of
a hairpin
people.
bridge. I vaguely remember it when I was little.
I didn't notice any downed trees. My friend said that he was driving his gator down the trail, and interestingly, it is called the Stagecoach Trail. He lived in Cambria County, Cambria Township, and one of the paths on their family farm was part of the old Stagecoach Trail, which is really cool. So he was going down Stagecoach Trail. This is what he told me. He had communication problems due to a stroke, but he could communicate things, and he did talk. So he made it clear to me that as he was going down that trail, he heard a horrible scream or growl, and he said that it seemed like whatever it was, it wanted to kill him. Now, this man grew up in the woods and the farms.
I'm pretty sure owns
He
this.
was a woodsman. He heard every
He
sound
used to keep
that
goats.
you could imagine.
They were really cool.
But this
There's a
scared
little
the
path.
poop out of him.
I don't know if he has them anymore.
I've heard stories. He lives near the Wilmore Dam, and there have been reports of people seeing
Far up ahead.
what they would describe as either a werewolf or dog man I'm not sure about the
If
any
nothing
kind
else,
of
it was just a
Bigfoot,
really beautiful walk.
but that
Not even
area
quite noon yet.
we've driven around in his gator, which he really wasn't supposed to do.
Thank
But
you, and
we did,
and
and
trees, and river.
we were very familiar with it. We
Sharing
never
this beautiful time.
saw anything happen.
Goodbye.
Now, my sisters and I'm mostly talking to my sister Marianne right now anyway, so she will remember. We went somewhere near Salt Fork, Ohio, in a cabin, and there were so many vocalization type of things, knocks, a scream. One of my sisters in the middle of the night heard a childlike chattering that was not an animal outside the bedroom window in the middle of the night. Now, if I were walking here with my sister, she would easily be able to point out anything that she thought was a bit strange as far as the way things are structured. I'm not good at that. Unnatural structures. Like if a branch or a tree is totally out of the ground and then woven between other trees and limbs. And I have seen it, just not good at identifying it. So I'm just moving the camera around in hopes that I just catch the general area, the feel. I don't know if I have any more incidences. Oh, one time I was at a local reservoir in the same township as I live, in a cabin. In the middle of the night, I heard banging like metal against metal. I don't know what that was. It was middle of the night. I don't think it could have been road work or garbage personnel. And then in the morning, I had a little half of a cashew shell right in front of my cabin door, which my sister and I both know and verify was not there earlier. Many things get blown by the wind, so we know that not everything that looks strange is, but there are quite a few that I would not know how to describe. Anyway, it's a beautiful day, and I'm happy to be out here. And thanks for listening. Oh, geez. Okay, well, there were a couple structures that I was looking at, but I guess I didn't have my video button turned on correctly because my screen went blank. All right, well, we'll just continue from here. I walked the whole way down to the end of the trail by the railroad bridge near 403, and that's how far I walk. You can go a little further than that over the little stream. Beautiful day. Usually I'll hear some chipmunks or squirrels. I do hear the birds. If I see anything that looks like an unusual structure, I'll film it. Doesn't mean it's anything. My sister would know better than I, but she's trained me to keep an eye out for certain things. X's. Those are all connected into the ground there. Okay, now this is kind of an odd thing coming up. If you can see, there is a, I don't know what you would call it, limb going over the path there. Now, one of the strange things about this is that this tree right here is not naturally in this ground. In fact, it almost looks like it was pulled off of its root or had not ever been here in the first place. And it's holding this canopy, is the word I wanted to use. Another thing that may be very explainable but seems strange to me is that there's this quite large dirt space under this canopy. Like in comparison to all the leaves on that side of the path, there is a definite dirt area here. And it looks like sticks were maybe drawn through it. Again, I am not a woodsman by any means, so I really don't know, but I just find it a little bit odd. We'll continue. Now that is a lone branch in there, but none of the other trees are loose. They're growing there. So that's understandable, I think. One of the things my sister has told me to look for are X's, because they many times are unnatural when you look at how they're formed. And the river sounds so pretty today. It's just really gorgeous. Gorgeous weather. We'll continue on. This doesn't seem odd in that the trees are all attached, and that one branch looks to have just fallen down in there. These are all solid in the ground. There's a lot of really pretty leaves back here. I've seen oak, maple, birch, pin oak. It's the end of the season, so they're slowly coming off. Look at that beautiful red. Gorgeous. I think a farmer owns this. Every once in a while when I park my car and walk down here, he will drive down, well, not in this area, although I suppose he could take his car back here, but he will drive down and just nod. He's just checking on his property. But I was told that he doesn't mind people taking a walk back here if they're not causing any trouble. Looks like that tree was planned to be felled, but Wasn't. That's what it seems like. Let's see what else we have. Old piece of farm equipment. We're in Pa Township in Somerset County. Actually, right here it could be a different county because of the way counties are set up. Sometimes it's odd. Okay, let me see here. That is not anything. I'm thinking of making some kind of soup tonight because the nights get a little chilly now. Maybe potato soup. Take a look at this. That's not connected. That is. Just have a little ways yet till I get to my car, so I'll try to see if there's anything interesting in general, anything odd. There's a lot of sticks there, but there's also some kind of man-made thing on it, so yeah, there's a lot of sticks there, but also a man-made plastic of some sort. That's an interesting tree. Branches have fallen off. Oh, I think I saw a squirrel up there. I can see him moving around. As we get closer to the car, now here's another area that is a dirt patch. And again, it looks like sticks have been drawn through it. I don't know if that's a normal thing in the woods. I know some people do hunt back here. Right now it's small game season, so I have something orange on. Interesting. So pretty. I would like to see some deer. They're so beautiful. And you know, as they go through the woods, you hear them moving, but it's surprisingly not as loud as you would think. That's how I have experienced it at my grandma's property that I was speaking of earlier. One time when I was there with someone, a very loud crash came down not far from the path that I told you about where I had left the statues, and I didn't put them there for any reason except my own. As I said, it was part of my kind of prayer path, wanting solitude and meditation. I don't even hear crows today. I love to hear the crows. I know they're noisy, but I like them. Now, I probably passed things up that I shouldn't have. It's very hard to say. Now, some things I don't want to get deep in there to see if they're connected to the ground or not. I've had enough Lyme disease. I even have arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis caused by Lyme. Although I am being treated for it and it's working really, really well, so that's a good thing. I don't know. I just don't know if I see anything that I want to point out in particular. There's farm machinery again. I think that a few years after I heard the whoop, whoop, whoop sounds in my woods at the back of my house, I think a couple years later I heard it again. But then nothing since. I do have neighbors, but no one ever seems to be around when I hear these things. At least I haven't heard of any. There's some neighbors I'd like to ask, but it's kind of a difficult subject because they don't always know what you're getting at. More farm equipment. Beautiful yellow colors in the trees. Up here a bit further is even more beautiful. Thought I just heard something fall. Probably not. It wasn't real loud, whatever it was. Just share this fall day with you. Pretty soon the leaves will be coming down. But I walked back here after a fresh snow and oh, it's just beautiful. Let's check out this side. There's some cat o' nine tails. A little marshy over here. As you go up that hill, it seems like there might be a little ledge up there. It's kind of clear. And behind my house also. The woods goes up so far and then there's a little ledge. Oh, I love these big rocks. I just enjoy the water for a minute. It's just gorgeous. Further up the river, when the kids were smaller, we would just almost every late morning before I had to go to work in the summer, we would swim in the river with some of their friends. It wasn't deep or dangerous, obviously. It's just so nice. There's just something about walking through leaves in the fall. Brings up that smell of the earth and the leaves, and it just brings back memories. Let's see over here. We'll focus more on the river right now. I don't seem to be spotting anything that I want to take note of right now. Gorgeous colors. Now there's a tangle of different types of, okay, that's connected. Most of those do seem to be. I think I just heard some running up in the woods. More towards that direction, but if anything, it sort of sounded like deer or even a squirrel. If you can see those rocks, the rectangular little wall there. I think that was from a bridge that used to go across the river. At the reservoir that I talked about where I had the cabin and heard the metal banging in the middle of the night, and I received that little cashew shell, I think, wasn't there before. There have been reports of the park rangers seeing what they called a family of Bigfoots drinking from the reservoir. That was in the 90s or 2000, I believe. I could be wrong about that. That looks like a game trail. No? Maybe. I'm just trying to get little clips of things that seem interesting. Of course, the river and the fall trees are interesting in themselves. So calming. That tree is actually in the ground there. Beautiful. I haven't really been looking at the ground too much. Any kind of tracks. They're always interesting. Sometimes you can see deer or whatever. I'm not good at it, so I don't notice anything right now. Look on the other side here. Again, that might have been something from the old bridge. I heard it was really like a hairpin turn bridge. I definitely remember it when I was little. I heard a squirrel. I don't know where he went. And now the river is turning more towards the other direction. The farmer that I'm pretty sure owns this, there's this little fence here. He used to keep goats. They were really cool. There's a little path up into the woods. I don't know if he has them anymore. We're almost at the end of our journey. I see my car up ahead. Well, if nothing else, it was just a really beautiful walk. Not even quite noon yet. Thank you, and thank you, my trees and river and birds, for sharing this beautiful time with us. Goodbye.